You ever have one of those moments where you just stop and go, WTF is happening right now? Yeah, that was me, standing in my own damn living room, while my pregnant sister-in-law looked me dead in the eye and asked where I was planning to go for her gender reveal party. Not kidding, not exaggerating. She asked me, the homeowner, where I'd be hanging out during her event, like I was some kind of Airbnb host and not her actual family, like I was in the way. But let me rewind for a second because, honestly, I still can't believe how we got here. A year ago, my husband, Carter, 35M, and I'm Madison, 32F, bought our first house together. Finally. After years of saving and renting shitty apartments where the walls were basically cardboard, we found the one, a beautiful, open floor plan home in a quiet suburb just outside Denver. Modern kitchen, big backyard, and enough rooms that I could finally have an office that wasn't the corner of our bedroom. Literally 2 weeks after we closed, Carter got a long-term project out in Montana. So, surprise, we're now in a long-distance marriage. He comes home every other weekend, and the rest of the time, it's just me and our rescue dog Moose holding down the fort. I actually didn't mind. I'm kind of an introvert and weirdly like having my own space. Plus, the house is like 10 minutes from my parents, so I'm not isolated or anything. Anyway, we hosted a small housewarming. Nothing fancy, some drinks, some food, music, people walking around going, OMG, the light in here is so good. That's when Carter's sister, Nicole, 30F, first started eyeing the place like she wanted to move in. 6 weeks ago, Nicole's about 6 months pregnant now. She and her husband, Mark, 34M, are expecting their first. And I get it, they're stressed. They live in a cramped 2-bed rental with no backyard, 1 bathroom, and a weird neighbor who feeds the local raccoons. She came over one afternoon and asked if she could host her gender reveal at our place. I didn't even hesitate. I said yes. Not because we're close, we're not, but because 1, I felt bad saying no to a pregnant woman. 2, I thought it might be nice to be social for once. And 3, she buttered me up hard, like, your house is so dreamy, and I'd never be able to find a venue like this, and this would mean so much to me. I fell for it. Sue me. So we planned the whole thing together. She was at my house every other day picking balloon colors, tasting cupcakes, arguing over the playlist. I even took PTO to help set up on the day of. I moved furniture. I cleaned bathrooms. I rearranged my entire Saturday so she could have the gender reveal of her Pinterest board dreams. Last Saturday's setup started early. The decorators arrived at 10 a.m. I had coffee ready. Nicole came over around noon, acting like everything was normal, laughing, chatting, zero signs that she was about to drop a betrayal bomb on me. Around 2:45 p.m. guests, set to arrive at 3. Nicole turns to me and says, casually, like she's asking about the weather, "So where are you going to hang out during the party?" I laughed, thought she was joking. She wasn't. I just mean like upstairs or maybe go out for a few hours, she says. This is really just for close family and friends. My jaw legit dropped. I stood there, half dressed in a nice blouse, holding a wrapped gift I bought for the baby. I blinked at her. You mean I'm not invited? She shrugs. I just assumed you were helping, not, like, attending. I don't remember what I said next because I think I blacked out from pure rage. You know that feeling where your ears get hot and your heart is in your throat? Yeah, that. She went on about how she didn't include me on the invite list, how she didn't want a big crowd, how she didn't want to make things awkward with her people. Apparently I wasn't immediate family. Meanwhile, I just deep cleaned a guest bathroom for her friends to pee in. She ends it with, I really don't want to argue. This is supposed to be a happy day, and honestly, I'm getting stressed out. I need you to just trust me on this. Trust her, after she tried to ghost me from my own freaking house. I stormed out to the backyard before I said something that'd get me disowned. I called Carter, but he didn't pick up. He was still out in Montana, on some job site with spotty reception. No signal, no backup. I sat on the patio, staring at the inflatable arch that said, boy or girl, and felt like the world's biggest idiot. 20 minutes later, screw this! I wasn't going to just roll over and leave my own house. So I did something petty, Or maybe just proactive. I called Mark, her husband. He answered on the second ring. I told him what happened. Every detail. I wasn't yelling, but I was shaking. I told him she was kicking me out, that I'd hosted this party, paid for half of it, and apparently now I wasn't even invited. He was quiet for a second. Then he said, "That's ridiculous. You don't have to go anywhere. I'll be there in 10. I hung up and just waited. I'm telling you that moment, sitting alone, while guests started arriving in the front yard, knowing a storm was brewing, that was the beginning of the end. ChatGPT said last Saturday, 3:10 p.m., doorbell rings. I don't move. I'm still sitting on the back deck, legs crossed, staring at a balloon that says, "It's a surprise," like it's mocking me. My phone buzzes. Text from Mark. Here, I walk through the house. The living room is fully decked out streamers, confetti, blue and pink macarons, a team boy / team girl photo booth corner, and a pile of tiny gifts for the baby stacked neatly on the dining table. All of it. In my house. Nicole's standing near the kitchen, touching up her makeup. She freezes when she sees me open the front door. And then she sees Mark behind me. Oh man, you should have seen her face, like a ghost just slapped her. Mark steps inside, gives her the most neutral nod I've ever seen, then turns to me. Thanks for letting me know. You good? I nod. I'm not, but I nod. Nicole starts talking before anyone even asks her anything. Mark, what are you doing here? I told you I had everything handled, Mark says calmly. You tried to kick Maddie out of her own house. She scoffs. I wasn't kicking her out. I just thought she'd maybe want some alone time. It's my gender reveal. She lives here. Silence. Nicole glances toward the door as a couple guests start walking up the steps. I see panic flash across her face. She hisses, "Can we not do this right now?" Mark crosses his arms, then say she's invited. Properly, like a normal human being, or I'll say it. You could hear the tension. It was thick, humid. Her jaw was clenched so tight I thought she might crack a molar. But eventually, she fake smiles, turns to me, and says, "You're welcome to stay if you want." Oh, wow! What a gracious host. But I play along. I smile back, just as fake. Thanks, Nicole. That's so kind. I walk upstairs to grab a jacket. When I come back down, the first batch of guests are trickling in some mutual friends, some co-workers of hers I don't know, and a couple of influencers I recognize from Instagram. She hugs them, laughs too loud, puts on her good girl face. But every time she glances at me, it's with daggers in her eyes. And here's the thing, I wasn't even trying to make a scene. I just didn't want to be erased from something I'd helped build, from my own space. That's all. But now, after that BS smile I'm watching, I'm paying attention. And suddenly, something feels off. Like really off. Later that evening, around 6 p.m., I'm helping clear some cups when I hear two of her friends chatting near the kitchen island. Friend 1, I can't believe she pulled this off. Her house is gorgeous. Friend 2, right, I thought she was still in that little rental. Friend 1, nah, she said they moved in last year. Mark's doing really well now. Friend 2, God, I wish my baby shower looked like this. She makes it look effortless. I blink. What? I walk away before I can accidentally spill lemonade all over them. I head straight for the garage, where I know Carter keeps a bunch of our moving stuff papers. Utility docs, a printed copy of the deed we never threw out. I find it, I take a photo, and I send it to myself. That's when things start clicking in my head. Nicole wasn't just trying to exclude me because we're not close. She was trying to get me out of the picture so she could pretend this was her house. Because one of her guests was someone she was trying to impress. Badly. Mark's old coworker told me weeks ago that Nicole had this friend Amber, who married into some fancy family with investment capital and clout. She'd been bragging that she was going to pitch a new baby brand idea once the baby was born, and had been trying to get Amber's husband on board. Now suddenly, she's hosting the gender reveal at my place, and telling people this is her home. Oh, hell no. I go to the backyard, where Mark is sipping a soda and watching some kids play tag. Can we talk? He follows me inside. I show him the deed photo. Just overheard some of Nicole's friends saying how impressed they are with her new house. Apparently, she told people she lives here. Mark stares at the photo, then he just sighs. She told me it was just easier than explaining whose house it was. Said she didn't want people to think we were cheap. I blink, so she admitted she lied. He nods. Yeah. I sit down, hard, and you were just okay with that. I wasn't. We fought about it, but she swore it was harmless, said it was just for the day. I look at him like he's grown two heads. Mark. She tried to kick me out so she could play Barbie Dream Life in my house and convince people she's loaded enough to get startup funding. That's not harmless. That's insane. He doesn't disagree. He runs his hands through his hair and says, I'm sorry, Maddie, really. That night, after everyone leaves, Mark and Nicole get into it. I don't hear all of it, but enough. She yells about how I'm dramatic, how I ruined her perfect day, how this was supposed to be her moment. He shouts back something about lies and pretending to be someone she's not. Then he leaves, walks right out with his overnight bag, and doesn't look back. Next morning, I get a text from Carter. Just talked to Mark. He's at his parents'. Says he's thinking about divorce. My stomach drops. Carter calls me. I spill everything: the invite incident, the overheard conversations, the fake home tour she gave her influencer friend. He's silent for a long time. Then he says, She did what? I know. Within 48 hours, but the whole thing explodes. Nicole's influencer friend didn't show up, but the lies still came out. Mark confronted her again, and she doubled down, accused me of sabotaging her, claimed I was jealous of her pregnancy, said I was too obsessed with the house. Mark files for separation that week. Nicole calls my in-laws crying. They call me, asking why I couldn't just suck it up and stay out of it. Said you could have left for a few hours. Maddie, come on. Nah, screw that. I told them flat out, if I let her use my home to lie and manipulate people while pushing me out of the picture, then I'm just enabling that BS. I didn't throw her under the bus. I told her husband the truth. She drove the damn bus herself. They didn't like that. But I don't care. I didn't start this. I just stopped playing along. And honestly, I feel better than I've felt in months. 3 days later, it all went online. Nicole made a post on Facebook Public, of course with a picture from the gender reveal, one of her standing in front of the balloon arch, glowing, smiling, hands on her belly like she was auditioning for a mommy blog. Caption said something like, Thank you to everyone who came to our gender reveal and made it so special, despite a few setbacks and negativity from unexpected places. We are so excited to welcome our baby girl #blessed #family first. Setbacks and negativity from unexpected places. Cool. So now I'm a vague Facebook villain. Within a few hours, the likes and comments started pouring in. People some I didn't even know were responding with the usual ignore the haters. Mama. And you don't need that kind of drama right now. And my personal favorite people always try to ruin your shine when they're miserable. I stared at my screen, blinking like, is this for real? I didn't want to engage. I really didn't. But then I saw one of her friends post. So sorry you had to deal with that. Can't believe someone would try to sabotage your baby's big moment over a house. Some people are just bitter. Oh, hell no. I screenshotted everything. I didn't comment. I didn't message. I just forwarded the screenshots to Mark. His response. Wow, okay. That same night, he called me. Mark sounded like he hadn't slept in days. Said Nicole was spinning the narrative hard, telling friends and family that I ambushed her, made her cry, that I invited people she didn't approve of, and that I told guests she couldn't afford a nice house. You ever feel rage bubble up so fast you have to sit down? Because I sat down. Mark, I said, do I look like I have time to go around whispering about her bank account? She literally lied to people about owning my house, then tried to gaslight me out of being mad, And I'm the bitter one. He sighed. I know she's twisting it. That's why I'm calling. Apparently, after our talk, he started doing some digging, and the results? Even worse than I thought. Turns out, Nicole had been quietly using their joint credit card to finance her lifestyle content Instagram hustle. Thousands of dollars, designer diaper bags, branded mommy must-have kits, all being bought in advance of the baby because she needed to look like a brand ambassador before she could become one. She hadn't just lied about the house, she was lying about her whole life. Mark told me he found out when he got a call from their bank asking about some suspicious activity. That's when he logged in and saw 3 purchases in the last week alone that he hadn't made, totaling over $3,000. She told him it was marketing for her future business. He told her it was theft. That's when he decided to make things official. He didn't just leave the house. He called a lawyer, filed for legal separation, froze their accounts, and just like that, the fake little empire she built started cracking. Nicole went ballistic. She called me. At first, it was fake sweet hey. Just wanted to say I really didn't mean for things to get so weird the other day. Weird. She kicked me out of my own house and told everyone it was hers. I didn't even respond. She went quiet for a few seconds. Then came the venom. You just had to ruin it. Didn't you? You couldn't let me have one thing. You've always looked down on me. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Nicole, I let you host a party at my house. For free. I helped plan it. I cleaned up after your guests. The only thing I ruined was your lie. That's when she hung up. The next day, I got a call from Carter's mom. Oh, joy. She launched into this whole speech about how Nicole was going through a lot, and pregnant women are sensitive, and family should stick together. I let her finish. Then I calmly said, with all due respect, what Nicole did wasn't a hormone moment. It was premeditated. She lied, manipulated, used my house to deceive people for business gain. She doesn't need a baby shower. She needs a PR firm. Silence. Then, very softly, she said, I understand. I didn't expect that, but I appreciated it. By the end of the week, Nicole was fully unraveling. She'd blocked Mark, unblocked him, called him, threatened him, begged him, left crying voicemails, then texted me one night at 1:37 a.m. I hope you're happy. You destroyed my family. I stared at it for a long time. Did I? Nah, she did that all by herself. I just happened to be standing in the doorway when the house of cards collapsed. A few days later, Carter finally came home for his scheduled weekend. I picked him up from the airport, and we barely got into the car before he said, So, where are we at with World War Nicole? I rolled my eyes. She's in full meltdown. Mark's talking to a custody lawyer. She's playing victim on Facebook. Your mom called. And yes, I've started locking the downstairs guest bathroom in case she decides to crash in the night. He nodded. Cool. So, business as usual? It was nice to laugh again. That weekend, we stayed in, cooked dinner, sat on the patio, watched moose chase moths. It felt like breathing after weeks of holding my breath. But Monday morning, just when I thought the dust was settling, Nicole posted again. This time, it was a sob story on Instagram, like black and white photo, crying selfie. Caption said, When you try so hard to be strong for your child, but your own family stabs you in the back. I don't know how to explain this pain. But I hope one day my daughter understands that her mom tried #betrayed, #broken, #mama heart. She tagged Mark. She tagged me. I didn't respond. Neither did Mark. But within hours, our phones were blowing up. Mutual friends, distant cousins, random people from high school we hadn't spoken to in years. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Some were supportive, some weren't. One guy I barely knew messaged me, Hey, just checking in, did you really kick a pregnant woman out of her own baby shower? I replied, No, but she tried to kick me out of mine, and then I blocked him. Carter told me not to worry about it. Let her flame out. He said, People will get tired of the drama. He was right. By Friday, her post had faded into the background noise of the internet. A couple people unfollowed her. One even commented, "Girl, you said it was your house." But that was Maddie's kitchen island. I've been there. Chef's kiss. But I stayed quiet. Still am, because honestly, I don't need to clap back. Nicole's doing all the heavy lifting by imploding in public. And me, I'm sleeping better. I've started meditating again. Bought some blackout curtains. Got a new espresso machine and named it Boundaries. Because when the baristas ask if I want room for cream, I can now say, nope, I've already got all the space I need. ChatGPT said 2 weeks later. Mark called Carter. Not me, not his lawyer, my husband. Carter was in the middle of assembling an IKEA shelf, one of those obnoxious multi-drawer monsters that takes 3 YouTube videos and a PhD to build, when his phone buzzed. "Hey," he said. "It's Mark." I paused, screwdriver in hand, good or bad. Carter shrugged. He didn't say. He stepped out onto the porch to take the call. I stayed inside pretending to sort screws, but mostly eavesdropping through the open window. The conversation was low, serious, lots of nodding and one really long When he came back in, I didn't even wait. "Well?" "He wants to talk to Nicole. One last time. He's not taking divorce off the table, but he said if and only if she apologizes sincerely and agrees to get professional help, he's willing to consider counseling." I blinked. "Seriously?" "Yeah. And you said—" "I said you'd probably think he's too soft. He wasn't wrong. I mean, I get it. She's having his baby. Of course he wants to try. But the damage felt permanent, lying, manipulating, gaslighting, not to mention using their joint finances like a GoFundMe for her influencer fantasy. That's not oops. That's a pattern. Still, it wasn't my call to make. I respected that. Mostly. That night, Mark sent Nicole a message simple, to the point. If you want to talk, I'm open. But only if you're ready to take responsibility. No more excuses, no more blame. I need to hear the truth. She didn't respond right away. In fact, nothing happened for almost 4 days. No texts, no cryptic posts, no sob selfies. Then suddenly, Thursday night, 11:23 p.m., Carter's phone buzzed. A screenshot from Mark. It was a long text from Nicole. And to be honest, it surprised me. She admitted to lying, said she'd been embarrassed by how far behind everyone else seemed to be getting ahead friends, buying houses, starting businesses, having photogenic lives, and she panicked. Said she felt invisible next to me. That my housewarming party made her feel like she'd never catch up. And so, when the gender reveal came up, she thought maybe she could borrow my life for a few hours. Spin a version where she was the successful one, the polished one, the girl who had it all together. She even said she didn't expect to be caught. She didn't apologize to me directly, but she did say she owed me one. Then she finished the message by telling Mark that she'd go to therapy if that meant giving their baby a shot at having both parents. Honestly, I was shook, not because I forgave her, but because for the first time in this whole disaster, she wasn't acting like the victim. She was just human, messy, small, but real. Carter looked at me, eyebrows raised. So, I sighed. I mean, that's between them, but at least she stopped pretending. Over the weekend, Mark and Nicole met at a coffee shop. Neutral territory, public space, less chance of a screaming match. They talked for 2 hours. Neither of them posted about it. No status updates, no live streams. Just 2 people trying to figure out if there was any glue left to fix the cracks. When Mark called us afterward, he sounded lighter. "She's going to start therapy next week. We're not back together or anything, but we're talking. I told her we're co-parenting regardless, so we need to make peace." I told him that was brave. Because it was choosing peace over punishment takes guts. But what came next, that's where things really shifted. Nicole posted again only this time. It wasn't a pity parade. No baby bump selfie, no hashtags, just a simple black screen with white text. Sometimes, being the villain in someone else's story is what you need to finally face your own shit. I sat with that for a minute. Was it too little? Too late, maybe? But it was also honest. Like, for once, she stopped trying to spin the optics and just let it suck. And I respected that. Mark told us he wasn't moving back in. Not yet, maybe not ever. But he'd be there for the baby. And he wanted Nicole to focus on healing, not appearances. So they worked out a co-parenting plan. Therapy became a routine, and slowly, the drama began to fizzle. But of course, peace is never just handed to you. It comes with reminders. Like the time Carter's parents came over for dinner and casually dropped, "We're glad Nicole's getting better. You know, she really looks up to you." I almost choked on my spaghetti. She what? His mom smiled. She talks about how put together you are, how confident. It's intimidating for her. Oh, now I'm the villain, the big bad sister-in-law who makes everyone feel poor and insecure. Carter stepped in before I could go off. "She doesn't mean that in a bad way," he said, trying to de-escalate. "Just Nicole has some stuff to work through. Maddie's just been herself." I forced a smile. "Well, I didn't realize my kitchen backsplash was triggering people." His mom winced. "That's not what I meant." But it was kinda. And that's the thing. People will project their insecurities onto you, then act like you're the problem for existing too brightly. So now I keep things low-key. No house pics on social media, no humble brags, just soft boundaries and a healthy dose of not my circus, not my monkeys. Nicole and I haven't really talked since the blow-up. She sends the occasional group text with baby updates. I respond with the appropriate emoji and move on. Civil but distant. Mark, though he's changed. More grounded, less passive, like the chaos burned off whatever fog he'd been living in. And the baby. She was born last week, healthy, full head of hair, and already throwing shade in her newborn pics. Carter and I dropped off a gift, nothing huge, just a basket with books, onesies, and a card that said, "Wishing your daughter a life full of truth, love, and zero gender reveal drama." Nicole didn't reply, but Mark did. "Thank you. She'll need women like you around when she grows up." That one got me. Because after all the lies, the yelling, the Instagram posts, the family guilt trips, that felt like closure. Not a happy ending, necessarily, but a grown-up one. And in this house, that's more than enough. ChatGPT said 3 weeks after the baby was born. I got a letter in the mail. Not a text, not an email, an actual envelope, addressed by hand, in Nicole's curvy handwriting, like the kind you'd see on Pinterest wedding invites, or those Etsy signs that say "Live, Laugh, Love." For a second, I just stared at it. Honestly, my first instinct was to toss it. I didn't want drama in a stamped envelope. I didn't want some passive-aggressive manifesto, disguised as a thank you card. But curiosity won. I opened it slowly, like it might explode. Inside a folded sheet of thick paper, no glitter or hearts, just a long message in black pen. It started with, "Hey Maddie, I know this probably isn't what you want, but I owe you something I've been too proud to say in person. So here it is. Okay, go on." She went on to actually apologize. Not some vague "sorry if you felt hurt" nonsense. She named it, said she manipulated the situation, lied about the house, lied to her friends, lied to herself. She admitted she was ashamed of where she and Mark were in life, especially after the wedding. Apparently, some of her friends made snide comments behind her back about how budget it all looked, and it festered. It felt like I was always 5 steps behind, and when you bought that house and had everything looking so perfect and polished, I felt invisible. Not because of anything you did, but because I couldn't stop comparing myself. She said pretending the house was hers felt like finally stepping into a version of her life where she was the one people admired. I thought if I could just make it through the party without you there, I could rewrite how people saw me. Just once, I wanted to be impressive. I had to sit down, She wrote that she never expected it to blow up so badly, that she thought she could keep it tidy, just a white lie, and no one would get hurt. But of course someone did me. Then she said the one thing I never expected. You didn't ruin my life, and Maddie, you saved me from going deeper into a version of myself I didn't even recognize anymore. If you hadn't spoken up, I would have kept going, pretending, lying, and I might have lost everything. That hit hard. She closed the letter with something that didn't feel like pity or guilt, just raw truth. I'm in therapy now, not just because Mark asked me to, but because I need to be someone better before I can raise someone better. I hope one day we can be okay again. But if not, I still wanted to say thank you. And I'm sorry. I stared at the letter for a while. Read it twice, then a third time. And you know what I cried? Not big sobs or anything, just that quiet kind of tear up where your throat closes and your chest gets tight. Because no matter how much someone messes up, there's something gutting about finally hearing them own it. I didn't text her, didn't message. I just folded the letter and placed it in a drawer, because even if it didn't fix everything, it gave me something I didn't realize I'd needed closure. Later that night, Carter found me on the patio with a glass of wine and Moose curled up at my feet. He sat beside me. You okay? I handed him the letter, watched him read it, his eyebrows raised a few times. By the end, he let out a breath and handed it back. Damn, he said. That was real. I nodded. Yeah, we sat there a long time, just listening to the wind in the trees and a neighbor's wind chime tinkling like a soundtrack for adult healing or some shit. Then Carter said, So what now? And I said, Nothing. Because, honestly, I didn't need a dramatic reunion. I didn't need Nicole and me to braid friendship bracelets and call each other sis again. What I needed was peace, and maybe just a little bit of distance. A week later, I saw Nicole in person for the first time since the party. Mark brought the baby by for a quick visit, just him and the baby, and Nicole ended up swinging by halfway through. She didn't warn anyone, just showed up. I opened the door and froze when I saw her standing there, holding a bottle of iced coffee and looking like she'd barely slept in days. We locked eyes for a second. Then she gave me a small, tired smile and said, Hey, I said back. She looked down, took a breath, and added, I didn't come to talk about everything. I just wanted to meet you halfway. She handed me the coffee, my favorite kind. You always kept those in the fridge, she said. Thought you might want one. I took it, nodded. Thanks. No hug, no drama, just a quiet truce over caffeine. She came in, sat next to Mark on the couch while he held the baby. I stayed nearby, sipping the coffee, watching the three of them together. The baby was squishy and tiny, and somehow already had Nicole's eyes. She didn't say much that visit, neither did I, but the energy was not hostile and in the messiest, most real way possible. That felt like growth. Before she left, she turned to me and said, I know I've got a long way to go, but I'm not going to screw this up again. I nodded. Good. No smile, no warm fuzzies. Just two women who'd been through the fire and were still a little crispy but standing. After they left, I sat on the couch and let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding for months. Carter sat next to me and bumped my shoulder. So, that was not a disaster. Nope, I said, just human. And honestly, that was better than I could have asked for. 2 days later, Carter's parents invited us all over for dinner, trying to play peacemakers again. I was hesitant, but Carter said, We don't have to forgive everything. We just have to show up. So we did. Nicole and Mark came with the baby. It was awkward at first. Small talk, tense silences. But over roasted chicken and a few glasses of wine, things softened. At one point, Nicole made a joke about the gender reveal, and I actually laughed. That was the moment I knew we'd survive this. Not as best friends, not as perfect family, but as people who messed up, owned it, and decided to keep trying. which, if we're being honest, is pretty damn powerful.